Welcome to Today and Tomorrow in Scottsdale with Don and Kevin. Kevin, how are you?
Good afternoon, Don.
Another week has come and gone.
Here we go.
Now, why do we keep lining up such good guests on this show?
Because it's a great show. That's why.
And there's just, you know what it is? Because so many cool people in Scottsdale.
That's right.
That's right. And it's just such a pleasure to be able to shine a light on all the people that are doing amazing things here. And we have another example of that today. Today, we're going to step into the world of community theater and the powerful impact that it has on young people and the communities around them. Our guest is Mike Helander. She's the Director of Community Outreach and Development for Stagebrush Theater here in Scottsdale, which helps create spaces where young people find confidence, creativity, and connection on stage and far beyond it. Mike, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me today. You've done your homework.
We've done a little homework. We always check into people before we have them on as our guests. We always make sure everybody's cool, and you are certainly cool. And I'd love to hear about your background because I know you've got some global experience, that you've been around the world a couple times probably. But tell us about, where you grew up and some of your global experiences and how you ended up back in Scottsdale.
Well, I grew up, I'm a West Coast girl by birth. I was born in California. Grew up in Kansas, though. So I am...
Where?
In Wichita.
No kidding.
Do you know it?
I do.
You haven't just driven through it?
No. My grandparents lived there, and I spent a lot of time in Wichita.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Small world.
I was born in
Small.
Hutchinson.
No, you were
Yes,
not.
I was.
I love that.
I didn't know that either.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
I love that.
Hutchinson, Kansas.
So I have said many times in my life, I am just a girl from Kansas. Like,
Right.
I just grew up in Kansas. I didn't know I would be doing this or this or this or that.
And now Kevin's just a boy from Kansas.
Yeah, exactly. And then from Kansas, I got out here to Arizona, made my way in Arizona quite early in my career in the 90s, and worked at the Arizona Department of Commerce, as it was called back then, and worked at GPAC, both focusing on economic development. And then Kansas got me back over there to work at the Department of Commerce for Kansas and head up their international group. And then unexpectedly, I was taking a trip and left my CD player on a train in Sweden and got off the platform, asked the two guys that were there if they could speak English, and the one that said yes became my husband.
Oh, my goodness. Well, let's back up a second. Tell us how you got to Sweden. What was that all about?
That was just literally a travel. I was taking a hiatus, and it was like, okay, now I've been doing international business for 10 years. Right. I've got friends across Europe. All of my friends in the States had gone coast to coast, and it was like, take a year, go visit these people, do the thing of the traveling and the backpack and the everything else, right?
And were you traveling by yourself at that time, or?
My mom was with me for the first
Okay.
3 months, and then the rest of it was intended to be on myself, this year plan of travel.
So you didn't have a boyfriend with you that got back on the train and you got off.
Funny how things work, huh?
I did not, right? I was baggage free. I had sold a house. I had put everything in storage with the plan of being gone for a year, and this all happened a month into the travels. Wow. So that whole year of traveling was changed, and when my mom ended up going back to the States, I took a train back up to Sweden and never moved back until December of just a few months ago.
So how long were you there?
23 years.
Oh, really? So what did you end up doing when you were there?
Must be long. 23 years.
So you found employment there and whatnot?
I did, yeah. Worked with their Chamber of Commerce when I was early there. Worked with an IT company, Lavasoft, that had a very well-known global product called Adaware, and this was when antivirus was coming on. Exactly.
Wow.
Swedish company.
Yeah.
Right.
Was their vice president of sales and marketing. In Sweden, but they were a global company, right?
Yeah.
Everything they did was outside of Sweden. And then ended up starting my own company. Totally disrupted what was and probably still is a very elitist interior design industry in Sweden. Sweden's known for design, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so myself and a partner, we were mothers, and we were interested in the environment, and we thought something has to happen here. So we started an interior design company that was built 100% around reuse and redesign. So for companies and cafes and coming in, and when they needed to renovate, working the whole project with them based on 100% reuse and redesign. So did that for 7 years.
Wow.
You don't know what you can do until you have to file business taxes in a different language.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I bet.
That would be amazing.
There's a pretty good tech community in Sweden. Isn't it Spotify?
Spotify.
Yeah, right.
Oh gosh, I should have had all
They're a
of
Swedish
these. I know.
company.
I have the random facts. I know that dynamite was invented there, and the paperclip. And, just these very random facts about Sweden in my head. But yeah, it was a great. It was a great process, and it was a constant trying to explain to people both there about the U.S. of, well, the Americans, they don't travel, and it's like, you don't understand. Like, if I get in a car and drive 3 hours from here, I'm in a different country.
Right.
If you get in a car and drive 3 hours in the States,
Yeah, you're in
you're
Yuma or
not
something.
even out of the state yet.
Yeah.
And so it was a constant education on both sides, right? Everyone over here would say, oh, Sweden, don't they have great chocolate? No, that's Switzerland.
Yeah.
So it was fun. It was a great learning, though, and I could have never imagined that was going to be. When I say, I was just a girl that grew up in Kansas. You just don't plan always, and I have learned that. You can plan, but you have to be flexible enough
Flexible's a good
for
word.
plans to change.
How did you come to Arizona then from Sweden?
I was ready. I know this is going to sound a little unusual maybe for someone that's already was here, but I needed to feel American again. And there's when you're in another country, you can try to adapt, and you do have to integrate as much as you can. And I was there for decades, and my kids are born and raised there. And but there comes that point where you are always just a little bit on the outside because you don't have the cultural nuances. You don't have the same pop references from when you were a kid. We could talk about the Brady Bunch or, I Dream of Jeannie and have these funny little sayings from them, and we would all know what we're
all
talking
connected,
about.
right? Yeah, right.
But when you're outside of your culture, you lose all of that. You lose
point.
all of it.
Yeah.
So it was a time, kids grown enough
Yeah.
that it was like I need to feel a little bit at ease again in who I am. And Sweden is a lovely country, and there's so many benefits of living there. But it is a reserved culture in the sense that I'm a laugher. I started laughing less there because when you laugh out loud, it's a social country. It's a socialist country. So you're not meant to put yourself over your fellow man in any way.
And laughing?
You can't laugh out loud?
If you're
Laugh out
laughing,
loud?
if you're laughing loud, you're drawing attention to yourself.
Really?
It's not.
And that's
It's
frowned
not
upon.
rude. It's not. It's just not their culture, right? And so you're always watching to make sure I don't somehow put myself in a situation where I'm seen as above my fellow man. It really is that, and there is good to that. Don't get me wrong. There is a goodness to it, and I am a firm believer now in social medicine. I can tell you that. Socialized medicine. But, there are things from a deep culture perspective that are in us that you don't realize it until you're not surrounded by it anymore.
Well, I'm glad you can laugh out loud now.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's a good thing. So,
Thank God for it.
so how did you get? So you get back to Arizona. How did you get involved with Stagebrush? What was that path like?
I got involved with Stagebrush. I was just out here visiting a friend last summer with one of my daughters who are still in Sweden, and she was on the board of Stagebrush. And she said, I'd like to introduce you to some of the other board members. We're talking through, is this the time? Are we ready for this growth, in the intentional kind of a way? And she said, we're not talking, anything specific at this point, but maybe just come in. She knew my background very well. And so she said, just come in, talk with us. What do you see? What kinds of things could we do? Super casual conversation. Met several wonderful board members that are on it still today. And that led to a series of conversations that eventually in December led to an actual job offer. And I thought this theater is just poised for some really exciting things that could happen with it. And so there was a real opportunity from my perspective. I'm old enough, right? I'm old enough now. I've had enough experiences where you get to that point where you want to start being a little bit more purpose driven in what you're doing, right?
Absolutely.
There's intent behind what you want to be doing. And this I saw as a great purpose-filled opportunity.
I know you're really passionate about the history of Stagebrush and then grease paint and youth players, all that stuff. Give us a little background because there's a lot of people that may not know how deep the history goes with those organizations.
It is woven deep. This theater and the troops that are within it. Let me give you a quick structural picture of what it is. Stagebrush Theater is right over this way.
In Old Town. It's an Old Town,
It's right on the southwest corner. It's the entry on the southwest corner into Old Town.
Right.
And so it has, the building was built in 1968. So it's been there a good while already, the building. But we're going to step one step back from that, and Scottsdale Community Players is the adult actors troupe inside of this building, Stagebrush Theater. They were actually founded in 1952. So they are 1 year younger than the incorporated city of Scottsdale. Scottsdale celebrates 75 years this year. We'll celebrate 75 years next year.
Is Stagebrush where Bob Crane was doing his play when he was killed in Scottsdale, or was it a different theater?
Goodness,
know
now
about
you're
that?
asking me a
All right.
reference question.
That's okay.
I don't know, Kevin.
We can circle back to it later on.
Right? Let's find the
Circle back,
answer.
but keep the history lesson.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Let's
right.
find the answer. So they started very early, in the very early days, and as I just learned this last week, I was at the Scottsdale Historical Society meeting, and this guy comes up to me and he's like, Scottsdale Community Players, they started in this little adobe hut over what is now the Civic Center. So that's where they originally started, in this little hut. And then they, as a community, they got this community, Scottsdale, to wrap around them back in the 60s, in the mid-60s, and help build this theater with private community funds. So it was Scottsdale Community Players, the troupe, the acting troupe, that raised the funding themselves to build this building at the corner there. Right?
Things people don't know. That's what we're learning today.
Yeah, and if you can imagine, at the time, I think Scottsdale said, we'll give you can lease this land from us because it's way far away. Nobody's ever going to be over there.
Yeah.
Now it's right
in the middle of everything.
It's right in the middle of everything. And then in '84 is when Grease Paint Youth Theater came on board and really started to have a trend and a movement. Community theater, I think, has always had some kind of a struggle in the sense of understanding and appreciation in a community and what it serves, the social benefit that it really serves. And we're no different, but we have lasted that test of time. But what happened when Grease Paint Youth Theater came on is we really saw a shift of families looking for those opportunities of development and growth. Maybe they didn't call it that, but they were looking for that for their kids. And so that has really become our known product, if you will, today, our known troupe. But you've got the Stagebrush Theater, and then you've got these two troupes
You have
inside.
the building, and then you have the actors community inside of that building.
Exactly. And now, as we sit here today, the city owns the building. There was some things that happened a couple of decades ago, a lease that expired, and the building was, dare I say, hijacked?
Was it really? No, go ahead and say it.
There's some interesting information, but now the city is the ownership of the building, but we have still been the stewards 100% of this building. So all of the maintenance costs, all of the internal costs, any kinds of renovation, obviously the operating budgets, that is 100% us still. So we're the only ones that have ever been in that building. We're the only ones that still occupy it. But, there's a big but there. There's so much, and this goes back to that opportunity. There's so much opportunity to really kind of draw the community back in. We have a theater, 190 seats, It's a great size of a theater, not too big, not too small.
Good size.
And it sits quite quietly during the daytime, right? So there's so much opportunity to kind of connect deeper again with this community and say, hey, this is part yours, right? So let's find these alignments. Let's see who is looking for space, or, you know, companies and hotels that are looking for team building spaces. We are right here, you know, sitting quietly waiting during the day. We're not going to be so quiet anymore, but you know, there's opportunity, I think, from a connection perspective with the community.
Kevin, I'm always, you know, you and I both are always looking for places to have events and little big meetings and stuff. This would never have been on my radar screen.
Nope.
We will put you on a stage.
Yeah.
We have a stage. We have spotlights.
Yeah.
It doesn't get any better than that, does
Don,
it?
you know, some of these
fantastic.
community dialogue conversations we're talking about having, right? Bringing
Yeah.
people together.
Could do it right there. You know, in fact, maybe we will. You know, especially with 190 seats. I mean, we don't need 190. It's still nice to have a theater like that, all set up for audio and visual stuff and all
of
the
it.
rest of that stuff. So, Stagebrush is it a nonprofit organization? So it's a 501c3.
It is. It is.
That
It's-
operates the building that's owned by the city.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So when you raise money, you're raising it for Stagebrush.
We're raising it for Stagebrush for our organization, and again, because we still have that 100% requirement of being the stewards of the building. So we rent from
Okay.
the city, in essence.
And then you're also raising money for grease paint and for the youth players too, right? Or how does that work?
Absolutely.
So you're doing
Yeah.
you're raising for all three, basically.
all of it, right? If it's inside of that building, it's us.
Yeah.
And so yes, for all of it, and soon to potentially be working on a bigger capital campaign idea with the exterior of the building, because they are doing development around us there on that corner with a project called Museum Square. You might have heard
Sure,
about it
it's
in
been
the
in
paper.
the news quite a bit lately, of course, right? Yep.
So we have been a part of that discussion for the last 8 to 10 years and waiting to see what's happening. And we know that developer, we're super pleased that developer has actually not only understood but embraced the idea of having community theater right there in that Museum Square area.
Wow.
So they have said, we want this here, we want this to be a part of what we're doing. That's going to be to our benefit. We know that there's been other discussions around the development itself and things of that sort, but we're happy about it in the sense that this is a partner that sees the benefit not only to their company but to the community, and making sure that is somehow preserved. And I hear it as I'm saying it. It sounds a little bit cliche, right? But this idea of community theater, and let's talk specifically the youth theater. We were talking in the elevator on the way up, Don, and I think people get the idea that, okay, you've got a youth theater, and so the kids are coming, and yes, they're learning how to become actors and performers, and they're having fun, and maybe the thought process stops there with a lot of people about what it's about. And what we're starting to reach deeper into the community with now is, hey, these kids, some of them might become actors, but a larger majority of them are going to become your leaders in the community.
Right.
And if we are doing our job, we figured that we're investing about 24,000 hours every year in the development of all of the kids that are coming through our program, 500 plus kids every year that are coming through the program. And when you talk about what's happening when they're working with scripts, when the older kids are mentoring with the younger kids on the stage, all of these developmental leadership attributes that are happening, they are literally there training and practicing leadership long before they become adults. And that's the story that we're trying to now get people to understand. What is youth theater? That's what it is.
It's leadership skills. It's team building.
Leadership
It's
skills.
support.
It's connecting them to the
connections.
community, civic responsibility, so many different things.
Don, I'm going to ask you a question, because I know you go to a lot of theater productions
Right.
downtown and
Yep.
stuff. I'm going to ask this question, but it's going to probably bring shame and guilt upon me, though, which is fine. Have you been to a production of Stagebrush?
Honestly, I have not.
Is that right?
I have
I
not
haven't
been
either.
to a production. I've thought about it before, and I've seen some of the lineups. I just never got around to going.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
shame on me, man, because
I'm told you, I'm
you know,
embarrassed.
Oh no, me
Don't
too.
be
Me
embarrassed
too.
because you just opened up an opportunity for me. We have a really, really cool show coming up called Hadestown. And this is for our older teens that are in the program. And we had about 100 kids from across the valley, not Scottsdale, from across the valley that came to audition for this
Really?
for
Okay.
20 spots.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a highly competitive process, and it's cool. It's edgy. The older teens need that. We have an artistic director who is Maureen Watson, who's been there 15 years this last time, and then she was there a few years prior. She is really adept at putting together an annual season that can meet different requirements because we have littles, we have young kids. Kids can start in our program as early as age 6. And you need to be able to adapt and individualize opportunities and these developmental characters that we talk about. You have to be able to adapt to the ages. So she'll have shows that are quite that are focused on younger kids, and even the audience being, having families that bring younger kids. So Madagascar Junior and shows like that. And then she's really good then of finding, well, we have this other group of kids, once they get a certain age, they don't maybe necessarily want to do just the younger shows. And so you have to find the Mean Girls and the Legally Blondes
Right.
and the
And
Hades
adult-
Town
more adult
and
age, right.
You do, so you really have to adapt to that. So she is not only looking for how to balance those needs in terms of the kids' development, but then also how do we incorporate the thinking theater? Do we also have a show a year that's really just for the good of the message of the show? And that tends to be working with the alumni through the Scottsdale Community Players side of the theater. Our alumni often come back into the community, the ones that have gone out to New York and gone out to California, and they're doing great things and trying to make their paths in the world. And some of them are professionals and some of them are still finding their ways. But every year we have this incredible circular community that they will come back. They will work master classes with our kids. They'll get involved in directing shows or it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing to watch.
And how many productions do you do a year?
They have 6 productions total a year. Each production will run about a 2-week time period.
That's grease paint, those 6?
Grease paint is 5,
Okay, 5.
and then we always have at least one scheduled with the Scottsdale Community Players.
Okay.
Yeah, and that is really bringing that alumni community back, into us and investing back into the kids that are there. And then periodically we'll have guests that come in. We had a one-woman show that came in last year with a very specific topic, and there's a lot of different opportunities for that within the community as well. When we're talking about looking, people that are looking for spaces and looking for even a performance space for something like that. She had her one-woman show. We were the, building host of that, but she ran her show within Stagebrush
So it was
Theater.
her own show. It wasn't any part of your lineups. And she just did the deal. And
Yeah,
paid rent
yeah.
or whatever
So we'll
the
have
service fee
exactly
was, right.
right. So there's lots of different ways of doing that. But the kids usually have about a 2-month lead-in time of any show. So rehearsals, the schedule is grueling. The parents are dropping them off every night, and
Sure.
they are there for several hours, and they have turned in their telephones. They,
Right,
they are
yeah.
not on screens, not even if they're not on stage at that rehearsal moment.
Yeah.
They are sitting in our theater truly screen-free. If we want to talk development, right?
Sure, of course.
They are sitting in there screen-free for about, their 3-hour period of their rehearsal time, and it's run. Maureen Watson comes from that world herself. She's an actor, and so it was always intended, even when the kids program started to grow more, it was always intended as this is quality, this is serious, this is what differentiates us in what has. Of course, we have a lot of different options today versus when all of this was happening, when all of this originated. But it's always that has always been one of the main focuses. This is quality, and the directors that are brought in. She makes sure that those kids are getting exposure to real experiences in this industry.
So with 5 shows a year, that means, and 2 months or so for rehearsal time to lead up to a performance, you've got something going on pretty much all the time there, don't you?
In the evenings, for sure.
Yeah, right.
Evenings are booked.
Evenings are booked. Okay.
Evenings are booked. But we would love to talk with the community about the daytime.
But fill up some daytime space, right?
We would love to fill some daytime
Do you have
space.
rehearsal space or just one stage there?
We have the single stage there. So that has been another,
You got a rehearsal on stage then.
yeah,
Okay,
that's been another trick for us of the whole black box idea of, is there opportunity for having this separate, smaller space? And then, that opens up a lot of new
That could be a
opportunities.
capital campaign item. to do
Exactly.
that. If you-
Exactly.
I'm sure the season starts in the fall and goes through the late spring, or are you guys open in the summertime?
We are open in the summertime for summer camps.
Oh.
We have a lot of our kids that are in our program that come properly into the program. They started at a summer camp, so they kind of dipped in their toe, and so this summer there are 6 different summer camp opportunities that they can come in. Everything from musical theater, and they get themed. So musical theater villains, and they will learn, let's say, the music from. When I say Little Mermaid, maybe it doesn't sound like the villain, but it's Ursula. Ursula, and
Right.
so you find the different villains in some of the musical theaters, and they work on those programs. We have a gentleman that comes in. He's been with us before, and he's going to be doing an improv class for the kids that are a little bit older.
Oh.
And that's a real skill. I mean, for anybody.
I wouldn't mind taking that class myself, man. Right?
Honestly, even if we were trying to, improv is
That's hard.
it's hard.
Yeah.
It is really hard.
Yeah.
So there's 6 different classes to choose from, and you can find. I'll do that little plug. You can find that on greasepaint.org. You'll find all of the summer camps, but a lot of kids will come and check it out and see, what is this about? Do I feel good? Does this feel like a place for me? And that's what we hear over and over and over, especially from the kids and the kids that are graduating every year, is that they're saying, this was my second home. This is where I made my best friends. These are the ones. And then the alumni are saying, those are still my friends, right? So there's a really, really interesting developmental dynamic that happens inside of community theater.
So what's ahead? You talked about some challenges. You talked about some opportunities to get the community to look at your space as available space for events and things like that, especially during the daytime. What else is ahead for Stagebrush and Grease Paint, and what are some of your challenges to
I
face
think
along the way?
it is our big challenge, or at least my obligation, if you will, my duty right now, is to really start connecting us with different organizations and different people in the community, such that they really say that they embrace us, and that they are the ones that say, this belongs here. This has always been here, but it belongs here, and it belongs here for the future as well. It's everything, you guys, from, like I said, I mentioned that I went to the Scottsdale Historical Society meeting. There's a bunch of people that are passionate about heritage and legacy, and all of the things that we're starting to try and say, hey, look, we've got heritage and we've got legacy. And so it's trying to connect with those people. And the conversations that are coming out of it are really, it's so easy to find alignments with different partners in this community of, oh, you've got the annual pancake breakfast that you guys run.
Great event.
Would you like some entertainment at that pancake breakfast?
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I mean, there are so many. We hosted Scottsdale Leadership. They came in for their annual Arts Day with Class 40. And
Really?
Yeah,
That was a couple weeks ago?
that was about, when were they there? Let's say a little over a month ago.
All right,
They came through.
Our
They had
class
their-
never went to Stagebrush. Did yours?
Nope.
No.
Oh,
I'm glad that they're starting to do that now. It's great.
it doesn't matter. I'm going to get you over for a show and a
Yeah.
tour.
You definitely are. I'm going to sign up for
Let me
a
ask
show.
you this, Mike. Do you guys have any crossover or any interaction with Scottsdale Arts?
Yes.
Because it seems like there'd be a little bit of crossover there.
There is, and our artistic director, Maureen Watson, is really good friends with Garrett, who is
Okay.
over there at Scottsdale Arts. So I know that they have a long-standing relationship,
Okay.
and always are looking for different opportunities of collaboration there. And then we're, on the regular, we were introduced by Diana Smith.
Yep, we were.
And Diana has she's a blessing.
She's a force.
She is a force, but she is letting me know now, hey, I just talked with this person. You need to go talk with them. And just recently, she's talking about an organization that's considering doing performances. It's a museum, so it's not even in the entertainment side of the arts world. It's a museum, but they're looking at putting on this performance program. And so it's just this constant, that's the challenge, that's the need, is this constant connection within the community, and not only just one theater to another, but connecting us into different kinds of organizations where we can find synergies and alignments and look for these unique creative opportunities and that will benefit the kids in their growth and their development, and hopefully benefit us in helping to secure this legacy of having sat in this community for so long. And
it's really cool.
There's a lot of I was reading an article from 1969, and there were other little community theaters across the valley that were mentioned, and they're all gone except us. And so there has been this longevity in this particular little gem that sits in the community.
Any collaborations with Valley Youth Theater, for example? Is that a collaborator? Is that a competitor? How does that play off in your world?
I don't. Me personally, right? I never see anything as competitive because there are boats rise together. And so I think it's always interesting to try to look. I don't know of any currently that are being done with them, but I'm always looking for opportunity, looking at those things as opportunities.
Open mind with
we
all
can't.
that. Yeah.
There's space for everybody. There is space for everybody. Always.
And then I'm, highly involved with Phoenix Theater, which, is the local theater that always, prides itself on local actors and being a local member of the community. I wonder if there's some opportunities there, particularly for young kids who want to go perform at the Phoenix Theater when they need youths on their stages, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's got to be, right? There's got to be. So I'm gonna circle back with you on that.
Don, aren't you on the board of Phoenix Theater?
I used to be on the board. I'm not anymore, but I used to be. Yeah.
Now, also, is there an Arizona ATC, Arizona
There
Theater
is.
Company?
That's a theater troupe. They don't have, like Phoenix Theater has a home.
So they're like
and
grease
it's more
paint.
than
They're a
just-
troupe.
It's like grease
I
paint.
see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need a spreadsheet on this.
I know.
Right.
There's
Not only keeps
buildings,
score.
Give me an org
and then
chart.
there's troops
Yeah.
inside of those buildings, and
Yeah.
it's trying to Tetris it all into place. Of you've got the Herberger, but when you look at the Herberger sign, you've got about 10 different
That's what the
troops
ATC
that
is, for
operate
example.
inside
Right.
of there,
Right,
right?
exactly.
So
Okay.
it's fun that way. Trying to.
There's not
to
a
figure it
whole
out.
lot of major stages that can seat 200 people. Phoenix Theater just went through a really cool capital campaign, so they've got a
Yeah.
brand new theater. It's really awesome.
Yeah.
But there's not a whole lot of performing spaces that are nice that can seat 200, 250 people.
Yeah, and Scottsdale Arts just presented an image of a concept of a capital campaign. They're getting ready to renovate one of their spaces. Beautiful concept.
Well, I like the idea if you could reach out to the developers at the Museum Square project. If they're aligned with the idea that they support community theater, that's a good source of connections, plus
Right.
funding, capital campaign stuff. That's
Right.
really exciting to hear that.
Exactly.
Now that they're through, I think they're through their legal troubles.
It's what we're reading.
Yeah, we'll see. You never a dull moment though, so who knows, right?
It is, but that's exciting for us because, like I said, that developer in particular understands the value, and not only the value to their own business, but just that community.
I'm sure that the relationship is very special. That's kind of a lucky break, really.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that could have been a threat to your very existence.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that is the reality, right? Not only us, but everyone in our industry. It's a constant reality of can we make it? Can we pay rent? Can we do this? Can we do that? And so that's the challenge of getting into the community and saying, hey, this is not just for people who like to go and be entertained for an hour and a half or 2 hours, which you will be, but if you are a true community connector or connected to the community, if we say it in reverse, there is so much happening in these smaller community theaters. I mean, look at Scottsdale Community Players, our original troupe. They were the first. They were the first in Scottsdale. So they are the ones that set the live performing arts into this community.
74 years old. That's
74
that's
years
amazing, isn't it?
old.
This is a great conversation, and it's exactly the kinds of things that we talk about here all the time, is connecting the community with people doing good things. And, you've just connected us to some ways that we didn't realize were there. And I know Kevin and I are going to now be definitely going to a show.
You are going to a
for
show.
sure.
Right.
No question
You
about
are
that.
coming
right?
to-
Just when you sit here thinking that we've been in this community for 30 years, we've been doing this podcast for 4 or 5 years now. We've done pretty much. Nope, there's still a
There
whole
we go.
long list of things I haven't done yet.
And you know what? That almost happens every single week.
It does.
It's amazing. That's why we do this.
Right.
One, from a selfish standpoint, we get to get better connected ourselves.
Right.
But we love sharing these stories with our listeners because then they get better connected too.
And it's endless, isn't
Yeah.
it? The things we can learn. Yeah. I will say also that is another area. Anyone in the community that has this great interest in heritage and legacy and connection with the community, we would always be looking for volunteers as well. We are a staff of 2. I doubled the staff.
Really?
I doubled the staff. We bring in the show staff when we have a show.
Yeah.
But that's a consulting, process.
That's a limited term contract, I'm sure.
Exactly,
like
just during the
contractors,
term of that show run. But when we are talking about our actual employment for the theater, when I was brought on in December, I doubled the staff.
So how do people get volunteer? What's your website for people to volunteer?
Greasepaint.org
Okay.
is the actual website,
All right.
and they can reach out. There's contact information on there. They're welcome to please reach out to us and just express their interest, and we will find the alignment.
That sounds great.
Have them find their way to me, Mike@greasepaint.org.
There
I
we
will
go.
give you all my email.
There we go.
Find me, and I will find the alignment.
Well, we're going to find you real soon because we're excited now to go see a show over there and get better connected with Stagebrush and Grease Paint. So,
Yeah.
Mike, thanks for being with us today, for everything
Thank
you're
you
doing
so
there.
much.
And Kevin, this is another great example of why we do this thing, man.
Love this show.
That's why we do this thing. So, Mike, thank
guys
you
are
so
doing
much.
good stuff.
We will see you soon, trust me. And I hope you all will pay attention to what you've heard today and visit Grease Paint and Stagebrush sometime soon. And if you're so inclined to volunteer, this would be a great opportunity as well. So, Mike, thanks for being with us, and thanks to all of you for listening. We'll be back again soon with another episode of Today and Tomorrow in Scottsdale.